Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that all of you have had a super week, and I hope that you're looking forward to an even better weekend. Students, in this class, we are looking at an IELTS reading about supernovae. A little bit about space science. This live class, the chat, is for members. To join the chat, you need to become a member, and you become a member by clicking the join button next to the subscribe button. Again, we are going to be looking at this reading passage here. This is coming from our academic IELTS exams. And as you can see, the title is Explosions in Space, Supernovae, and then we can kind of see this awesome looking picture here of what looks like a star, and actually it is the death of a star. Welcome Carolina, our chat moderator. Welcome Fuang, Yani, our members. Good to see people joining in on time. So start thinking about this topic. Explosions in space. Think about what that could be, why that could be, how that might work. That's the first step in the IELTS reading, is to read the title and try to predict the reading passage by thinking what, why, how. So using your critical thinking to gather as much information. And even if you're a person that's like, well, I'm not into stars and I'm not into space, it doesn't mean that you don't know anything about this or you haven't heard anything about supernovae. So you want to gather as much information as possible, because that will help you to read more effectively and answer the questions better and faster. So again, these materials are coming from our website, aehelp.com. For academic IELTS, visit us there. For general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. Section 3 of the general IELTS reading is very, very similar to all three passages in the academic IELTS. So whether you're an academic or a general IELTS student, doing academic reading is not a bad idea. And you can find 6 original practice exams on our websites, along with interactive courses, lesson videos, and much, much more. And we use these in these live classes. As I've mentioned before, these websites are basically our textbooks for the live classes. So if you're watching these regularly, be sure to join the premium package by clicking that big red button that's just above my head there. It is a one-time payment for lifetime access. We are an IDP affiliate. We are a British Council partner. We're an IELTS test registration center. I'm a certified British Council agent, so you are in very good hands with us. This is the general IELTS here at gieltshelp.com. Again, click this big red button to join the premium package. And when you do, use this discount code MARK9, M-A-R-K-9, for an additional 10% discount. So just trying to really help you in your IELTS journey so that you can get those high band scores. So we'll use this website in just a moment to do a little bit of reading audio. That's one of the nice bonus features of our website, is that we actually have British people reading the audio. So we'll do that in just a moment. To get our live class schedules, you can follow us on Instagram, IELTS_AEHelp, GIELTShelp. And if you still have some questions, you can certainly send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. Now, as far as our schedule goes, from October 21st to the 30th, we've got a bit of an interesting schedule going on. So I'll give you a snapshot of this. Okay. Hi, Masala. Good to see you joining in. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. So we've got reading right now, and then that will be followed by listening parts 3 and 4, continuing with the listening exam that we started last week. Tomorrow we will have speaking part 2 for members, followed by speaking part 3 for everyone. By the way, make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you can join that subscriber chat class and also get all the notifications and updates of English materials that we're releasing that you can access for free in these live classes. And then here from the 23rd, so from Sunday to Thursday, there will be no class. Okay, so next Thursday, there's no morning class. We're missing that one day. I'm away on a trip. And then I'm back on Friday with speaking part 1 for everybody. And then we'll have 2 classes Friday, 2 classes Saturday on the 29th. And again, we'll have this light hall class on next Sunday. So everybody check that out. It's a free class. It's a speaking class. It's really great. People love those light hall classes. They get to video chat with me and practice their speaking for the speaking section. So we will have some new releases for you during the week. We'll have one this week still coming up, a really good one. And then we'll have another great practice speaking first person karaoke style video coming up for you next week as well. So even though we've got that one class missing, there's lots going on. Carolina throwing out a thumbs up. That's great, Carolina. Yeah, so lots going on there. Okay, so reading strategies, everybody. Again, as I mentioned, your first step is always to read the title and look at the picture when possible. Okay, get as much information from your own knowledge as possible before you start to read. This will make your reading more efficient and you'll get more answers correct. Let's get that down here. Here we go. So this will make your reading more efficient and you will get more answers correct. Okay. So, supernovae, what is it? What is a supernova? Supernova is singular, supernovae is plural. It's an irregular plural. So, hi Sanantha. So, when we look at this picture for this reading, members, explosions in space, supernovae, supernova. Does anybody know what that is? There's not a lot of different kinds of explosions in space. There's really only 2 types, as we'll learn very shortly here. What is a supernova? It's quite a fantastic event. In fact, it's maybe the most fantastic event, natural event in the universe. Yeah, so James says it's the bright of an exploded star. Or James, you can say it's the light emitted from an exploding star. Okay. Romelia says hello. Kennel says it's the death of a star. Yeah, it's the explosion caused by the death of a star, right? So that's exactly what it is. It's the explosion caused by the death of a star. So explosion resulting from the death of one or more stars. Okay. Especially if you're doing the academic IELTS students, it is a good idea to do some reading in science, nature, philosophy, a little bit of art, literature, and nothing too complicated, just kind of high school level, college level, a little bit of Wikipedia reading here and there on different topics. So supernova, explosions resulting from the death of one or more stars. Why does that happen? So why does a star explode? What do you think? Why does it die? Our star, of course, is called the sun. And currently our sun is about halfway through its life cycle as far as scientists can predict, which of course is not a big deal for us because the sun lives a lot longer than we do. And I mean a lot longer. Our lifetimes are less than a blink of the eye of the sun. So why does it happen? Why does a star explode? What's going on there? Okay. What do you think? Miles says it gets really old. Yeah. What a fantastic way to go out, right? Not just disappear, but boom, I'm done, I'm finished, kaboom. All right. Yeah, so Kennel says there's so much gravity that it creates a reaction and it explodes. Okay, and then if some of you are into space and into space science, then you're into astronomy, then you might know how it happens. So how does this happen? And it happens through nuclear fusion. Basically, it fuses different kinds of elements and then burns up all the fuel. Okay, so if you don't know it, don't worry about it, right? It doesn't, you don't have to perfectly know what's going on. All right, so then once you've thought about this a bit, so you read the title, Explosions in Space, Supernovae, and students, this is reading, so make sure to read, okay? Read with me and read aloud. That means so I can hear you. I will imagine that I can hear you. So read aloud. So explosions in space, supernovae. Once we've done that, we look at the questions, okay? Here are the questions. Reading passage 1 has 5 paragraphs, A to E. Which paragraph contains the following information? You may use any letter more than once. 27, mass energy conversion. 28, the requirements for a type 1a supernova. 29, supernovae as intergalactic measuring sticks. 30, heavy elements come from supernovae. 31, the fuel used for stars. 32, supernovae are the progenitors of much of existence. When you see a word like this, progenitors, and it's maybe new for you, you're like, oh no, it's a difficult word, what's going on? Don't worry about it. At this point, don't pay much attention to it. You'll have more chances to understand what is happening after you read the passage. Now, students, in the academic IELTS, okay, you have to read the passage to get those high band scores. I say this every time. You can't just skim read for the answers. This type of question, which paragraph contains the information, mass energy conversion, it could be coming from paragraph E. So you can't skim read the whole passage to realize that the answer is maybe D or E and then start again for the next question. You're going to run out of time, okay? So if you're just skim reading, you think skim reading is faster, but ironically, skim reading is actually slower strategy for high band scores than reading the passage. I hope everybody got that. Is everybody clear? That I'd love to see a thumbs up because I know we have lots of new members, and there's a lot of bad information about IELTS reading online, and even strategies. People are like, oh, skim read for keywords. No, okay? So skim reading, thank you, Carolina, for the thumbs up. Skim reading is not an effective strategy for band scores over 6 because it is actually, ironically, slower than reading the passage. Okay, also, you cannot just read or skim for keywords because words are paraphrased, so they may not even appear, and they are repeated, so they may appear multiple places. Okay. The reason that it's slower to skim read is because questions like match information to paragraphs, list of headings, and true, false, not given simply don't work with skim reading. With just skim reading. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, and I think that students that realize this, they really get it. They're like, oh yeah, that's not an effective strategy at all. No high-level English speaker or English teacher would ever use just skim reading in the IELTS reading section to answer those questions. So the person teaching you skim reading, if they sat the IELTS exam, I guarantee you that they would read the passage and not just skim read. And that's why it's, I think, really strange to teach a strategy that the teacher themselves would not use in the actual exam. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. So yeah, again, this type of question, which paragraph contains the information, skim reading is absolutely useless, okay, because you end up skim reading the passage 5-6 times, which is very slow. You might just read it once. It's much better, okay? And then here comes the next one. Complete the sentences below. Yeah, Yanni says, I've tried to read all the passage so I can answer the questions based on what I remember, and it's quite hard. It is, Yanni. It's challenging. That's the idea. But there are ways that you can do it, and we're going to do that today, okay? So, Yanni, you're going to practice today, okay? All right, number 33. Type 2 supernovae originate from a star which is something. The energy producing process in a star converts something into something. The death process starts when all the hydrogen is used up. The star then begins to process something elements. The first element that can no longer be fused into another element is, okay? So again, everybody, I want you to read with me aloud, okay? And then here we have some multiple choice questions. Multiple choice questions, we only look at the question, not at the answers, because the answers are a waste of time. 75% in this case are wrong, right? It's only 1 out of 4 that's correct, so we don't worry about it. The sun will not become a type 1a supernova. Why not? The Chandrasekhar limit is, if type 1a supernovae are observed and one is brighter than the other, what can be concluded about the dimmer one? Supernovae can be compared to. Okay, so by reading the questions, we learned a couple of important facts. One, there's 2 types of supernova or supernovae, 1a and 2, okay? The supernovae are from stars that use fuel like hydrogen, right? Okay. and there are some interesting physics connected to it. If you got some of this, perfect. If not, it's not the end of the world. Don't worry about it. Okay, let's read the passage together. So the next step is to read the passage, and as you can tell, members, viewers, I'm moving at a nice, consistent pace today, just to kind of show you how to practice at home for this and how to think about it during the official IELTS exam. So for those of you who have access to our premium IELTS package, okay, at the top here, it tells you where to look for this audio track. So it says that this is reading audio CD2, track 7. So what I want you to do here is read with this British person. You do not have reading audio in the real exam. This is for your practice and learning that we included this on our websites, okay? So when you go to aehelp.com, you log into your premium IELTS account, okay? And then you're in your My Student account. You have lots of goodies here, computer-based practice exams, full online course, and eventually you get to the audio CDs tab here, and then you go to CD2 track 7. Now let's read this together. I will show you what you should do with the first paragraph, and then continue reading because you will have a chance, members, to read after, okay? All right, so here we go. CD2 track 7.
Supernovae. Supernovae are among the most spectacular events in the universe. They are incredibly powerful. In just a few weeks, they can release the same amount of energy as our sun will release in its entire lifetime. Supernovae are among the most spectacular events in the universe. They are incredibly powerful. In just a few weeks, they can release the same amount of energy as our sun will release in its entire lifetime. Supernovae are also the origin of many of the elements that make up the universe. Most of the elements of the periodic table require enormous amounts of energy to produce, and supernovae are the only source of this energy. Due to their consistent brightness, supernovae are used to measure large distances across the universe. There are two major types of supernovae, Type 1a and Type 2. There are a number of differences between the two, but the main difference is the process by which they come into being. Type 2 supernovae originate from a dying star. A star begins to die when it runs out of fuel. Fuel for stars is the element hydrogen. For their entire lives, stars fuse hydrogen into helium, producing energy in the process. This energy comes from the difference in mass between the helium molecule and the 4 constituent hydrogen atoms. 4 hydrogen atoms have a mass of approximately 4.0318 atomic mass units, while a helium's atom's mass is approximately 4.0026 atomic mass units. The difference between these two values is the amount of mass which is converted into pure energy. In a dying star, there is no more hydrogen. All that is left is helium. At that point, the star begins to fuse helium molecules together to form carbon molecules. Once all the carbon is gone, the star moves on to even heavier elements, and the star consumes these heavy elements at faster and faster rates. A star may take 10 million years to consume its hydrogen, and then take 1 million years to consume its helium, 1,000 years for the carbon, 3 years to consume the neon, 3 months for the oxygen, and only 5 days to convert all of the silicon into iron. There is a stopping point, however. Once the core of the star is entirely iron, there can be no more fusion. This is because the small difference in mass that is converted into energy is not present in the case of iron. The star is then left with an inactive iron core. Once the iron core reaches a certain mass, called the Chandrasekhar limit, the star can no longer exist under its own weight and collapses in on itself. The result is a cataclysmic Type 2 supernova. The other type of supernova is the Type 1a. Type 1a supernovae are formed most commonly in binary star systems, where there are two stars which rotate around a common point. For a supernova type 1a to occur, one of the stars has to be a white dwarf. A white dwarf is the remnant of a low-mass star that has come to the end of its stellar life. Our Sun will one day be a white dwarf because it lacks the mass needed to blow up in a supernova type 2 explosion. In a binary system, the white dwarf star gravitationally attracts matter from its companion star, with the matter taken from the companion star becoming part of the white dwarf. Eventually, the white dwarf will have added so much mass that it begins to approach the Chandrasekhar limit. Once it hits this limit, just like in type 2 explosions, the white dwarf can no longer sustain itself and the core of the star collapses. The star blows itself up in an even more spectacular event than the Type 2 explosion. Type 1a supernovae are extremely bright. If the Sun were to be replaced by a Type 1a supernova, it would appear 5 billion times brighter. This brightness is also very consistent from one supernova Type 1a to another supernova Type 1a. This consistency has led astronomers to use supernovae Type 1a as what are called standard candles. A standard candle is used to determine how far away an object is. For example, if we observe a supernova Type 1a in a nearby galaxy, we can tell very accurately how far away it is by comparing the apparent brightness of the supernova observed with its absolute brightness. Respectively, if the supernova is very bright, the galaxy is quite close. If the supernova is very dim, the galaxy is very far away. Supernovae are responsible for every element in the universe that is heavier than iron. Every atom of gold, silver, tin, and lead, as well as 80 other elements in the universe, were born in supernova. Supernovae are also the origin of most newly born stars in the universe. Our Sun, for example, was born from a cloud of dust and gas that was left over from a supernova. The Earth, likewise, was born from a supernova. It is not too imaginative, therefore, to regard the plants, animals, and humans on this planet as a development of this supernova. Every atom of our bodies was once scattered in a supernova explosion. Therefore, many scientists believe supernovae are the crucibles of existence itself.
All right, so that's a reading with the audio. The reason you should use the audio on the website to read these passages is because it will help your pronunciation and your fluency. If you can read the passage at this speed and understand at least 60 to 70%, then you will do just fine on the IELTS. You will have lots of time to read the passage and answer the questions as long as you know what you're doing and you're using the correct strategies. Okay, welcome to our new member, Sang Hun. Nice to have you on board. It's a great time to join up because we are taking volunteers, members, primarily you in this case, to read this passage, and I will show you how you should be doing your reading practice at home for the IELTS while we take these volunteers. So go ahead and log into your My Student account at aehelp.com. Again, if you don't have a My Student account, please create one, especially if you're a member. So again, the website is aehelp.com, and you can click the red or green button to create an account. Red button is paid. It's the premium version. It has all of this material, and then you could also use the free account for now if you don't have that option just yet. So go to aehelp.com and then click on this student partner speaking function. Okay, and we will connect through there, and then I will select some of our members to do a bit of reading. We will interact, and we will also go through the questions and answers together based on our reading strategies. Okay, so again, student partner speaking, click on that. Make sure your microphone is working. Make sure you don't have any firewalls or some kind of software blocking the use of the speaking function. Okay. And I can see some of our members in here. Masala, Sanantha, Yani. That's great. Masala's already volunteering, which is fantastic. I'll get to you in just a second, Masala. Look for Master and then send me a message. Say, I want to volunteer. So my name will appear as Master. Click on that and then I can connect with you. So let's connect with Masala. And we'll start reading. So as long as Masala is ready here, and we've got lots of members in the class, which is fantastic. Masala, are you ready? If yes, give me a sign, and then we'll begin. Hi, Masala.
How are you, sir?
I am doing fantastic. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful.
That's good. All right, ready to do some reading?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Masala, so you'll be reading the title and the introductory paragraph, okay? After you finish the introductory paragraph, I'm going to ask you what it is about, so pay attention to the main idea of the paragraph, okay?
Okay.
All right, go ahead, start with the title, Explosions in Space, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Explosions in space, supernovae. Okay. Can you just read down?
Yep, it's coming.
Okay. Supernova are among the most speculated events in the universe. They are incredibly powerful. In just a few weeks, they can release the same amount of energy as our sun will release in the entire lifetime. Supernovae are also the origin of many of the elements that make up the universe. Most of the elements of the periodic table require enormous amount of energy to produce, and supernovae are the only source of this energy. Due to their consistent brightness, supernovae are used to measure large distances across the universe.
Okay, so when you're doing your practice at home, students, when you read a paragraph, your very first step after you read a paragraph like this is you should stop for a second, and in English and with a paper and pencil, or if you're working on the computer, then in the document itself or on a separate Word document, you should write down what is the introduction about. Okay, and then you should answer that. So you can find these kinds of exercises in your workbook on the website as well, Masala. So there's a workbook. I'll show you where that is, everybody, just real quick while Masala's thinking about what this paragraph is about. So in your materials here, your workbook is here, and when you download that workbook, you have this kind of exercise in there, okay? So keep that in mind. All right, Masala, so what is this paragraph about, this introduction? In a simple
This paragraph
sentence.
about about how supernova form and how its means function. Why supernova is what used for supernova in universe.
And what's the answer to that? So why are supernovae important in the universe?
Because there is the high source of energy in universe, like sun, like lifetime of sun, and also it's used for measure distance upon universe, like one galaxy to another galaxy.
Yes, okay. So what you want to do, Masala, when you have all of this information in your head, is simplify it into a sentence. Okay? So notice what I wrote up here. So supernovae are the source of energy, measuring distances, and elements. Right? That's the simple answer. You really want to simplify it so that your brain can hold that information easily, and then when you get to the questions, you know the exact organization and structure, and you can easily find information if you need to search or look for an answer. And hopefully you don't need to search for as many. So just repeat after me. What is the introductory paragraph about?
What is the introductory paragraph about?
It's about supernovae as the source of energy, measuring distances, and the elements.
It is supernovae about the source of energy, measuring distances and elements,
Yeah, and creating elements, to be more specific, creating elements.
or creating elements.
Okay? That's all you need to get. So you don't have to understand every word. And even if you just get creating the elements and source of energy, then that's also good. Okay. So you have to practice this. Now, Masala, let's say that you're sitting at home, you have a passage like this, you're doing your IELTS studies, and you don't know what the introductory paragraph is about. What should you do?
I Google it.
Yeah, good answer. Google it, right? Exactly. You have to go back and read it again. You have to find the definition of some words that you might not know. Sometimes, I get this question from students like, what do I do if I don't understand the paragraph? Well, I mean, you're in trouble. If you don't know something, you don't know something. You can't just magically know it, right? So at home, when you're practicing, it's really important that you check, why you can't understand it. What are the missing words? What's the information? And you're right. You Google it. You start to translate it and Google it and understand it and then read it again. Absolutely, Masala. Awesome. Masala, thank you for reading that first paragraph for us. Hang in there. We'll get to the questions soon, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks, Masala. Bye. All right, that was Masala. Thumbs up. Yeah, Yanni's like, Google it. Too bad you can't do that in the real IELTS, right? That's why you do it at home. Okay, let's see. Some more members here. Let's try Yanni. Okay, we've got lots of paragraphs and questions, so hang in there, members. I'll get to many of you, if not all of you. Okay, Yanni, are you ready? Okay, so we're going to move to paragraph B here, ASAP. And of course, students, one very important strategy is to visualize. So picture this, visualize the stars, see yourself looking up into space. You are in the supernova. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Yanni, how are you?
I'm doing fine. And how about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. All right, Yanni, let's stay the course. Let's get into paragraph B here. So whenever you're ready, read paragraph B, and I will ask you the same question at the end, what it is about. So you should be able to see it now. Go ahead and start reading.
There are two major types of supernovae, type 1a and type 2. There are a number of differences between the two, but the main difference is the process by which they come into being. Type 2 supernovae originate from a dying star. A star begins to die when it runs out of fuel. Fuel for star is the element hydrogen. For their entire lives, stars fuse hydrogen into helium, producing energy in the process. This energy comes from the difference in mass between a helium molecule and the four constituent hydrogen atoms. Four hydrogen atoms have a mass of approximately 4.0318 atomic mass units, while a helium atom's mass is approximately 4.0026 atomic mass units. The difference between these two values is the amount of mass which is converted into pure energy. In a dying star, there is no more hydrogen. All that is left is helium. At that point, the stars begin to fuse helium molecules together to form carbon molecules. Once all the carbon is gone, the star moves on to even heavier elements, and the stars consume these heavier elements at faster and faster rates. A star may make 10 million years to consume its hydrogen, then take a million years to consume its helium, 1,000 years for the carbon, 3 years to consume the neon, 3 months for the oxygen, and only 5 days to convert all of the silicon into iron. There is a stopping point, however, once the core of the star is entirely iron, there can be no more fusion. This is because the small difference in mass that is converted into energy is not present in the case of iron. The star is then left with an inactive iron core. Once the iron core reaches a certain mass called the Chandrasekhar limit, the star can no longer exist under its own weight and it collapses in on itself. The result is a cataclysmic type 2 supernova.
Awesome, great reading. Yanni, reading at that speed is perfectly fine to get a band 7 or even more in the IELTS. You don't need to be able to read faster than that. Okay, I think a lot of people think that reading quickly is the key to getting a high band score, but it's not true. Strangely, it's actually understanding what you read. So that's the key. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So here we want to ask, what is this paragraph about? So it's the first body paragraph.
The paragraph talk about the process of making the type 1A star into the type 2. That is from the star, the die star.
Okay, close. Simplify it a little bit. So I think you were good. So there are 2 types of supernovae, 1A and 2. And the process is the difference. Here is the process for type 2. Okay, so that's the answer there, but you were close. Okay, it's not type 1A turning into type 2, it's just the process for type 2. So here, and if you're not sure, if you're a little bit confused, one tip, Yanni, is go back to the first couple of sentences. Okay, the first couple of sentences, this is true for body paragraphs. This is not necessarily true for the introduction or the conclusion. So be very careful, everybody, with this. For the introduction and conclusion, it works differently. But for body paragraphs, usually the topic sentence introduces the topic, so what it's about. So here it says there are 2 major types of supernovae, type 1A and type 2. There are a number of differences between the 2, but the main difference is the process by which they come into being. And then it starts in on the type 2. It says type 2 supernovae originate from a dying star. And then it explains that process. So what is this paragraph about? Just repeat after me, Yanni. What is this body paragraph about?
The body paragraph talks about the process of type 2 stars.
Type 2 supernova. Right?
Type 2 supernova.
Not the star, careful, it's not the star, it's the type 2 supernova, and it's the main difference between type 2 and type 1A. Okay? So keep that in mind. So now this is the logic. It's basically like we're shrinking the information in the passage to an amount that's easy for us to remember and that we can use when we're in the questions. Because of course the essay has, 700, 800 words, right? So to remember all of those words, all of that information is very challenging. So what we have to do as a smart reader, Yanni, because I saw your comment earlier, you said like, I'm reading the whole passage, but it's hard for me still to do this and to remember all the information, right? That's what you were saying, I think, in the chat. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So the trick, I mean, quote unquote, let's call it a trick, Yanni. The trick is to make all of that 700-800 words into a much more digestible, much more usable amount of information. So here, you've got a body paragraph that's here. Well, we can check. It's got 326 words. That body paragraph. It's 300. So that body paragraph is longer than a task 2 essay, right? So it's 326 words, right? So your goal as a smart reader is to take those 326 words as soon as you read them, make them into a much shorter summary, something that your brain can remember and use. And the answer here, there are 2 types of supernova, 1A, 1-2. The process is the difference. Here's the process for type 2. Okay, that is 22 words, right, Yanni?
Right.
So 22 words, it's a lot easier to remember than 328, correct?
So just make a review after I read it, the whole of the passage.
Yeah. So as you're reading the whole passage, you do this for each step so that when you get to the questions, instead of remembering 800 words, you're remembering 100 words, right? In sequence, in order. And it becomes a lot easier. So if you practice this, you're going to realize like, oh, okay. And then even if you have to skim read later and search and go, well, like, Adrian, but what if it's asking me for like one small word or one specific fact or something, it's still going to be a lot easier to find it, because if it's asking you like, what's the element that stars are using after they burn helium, then you know that, okay, that was the process, right? So now I'm just looking for paragraph B and I'm looking for helium. So here you find helium. And then here you go, okay, 1,000 years for the carbon. So after helium, it starts consuming carbon. So the whole like idea of skim reading and searching for answers becomes a lot easier. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, but you have to practice it. That's the key. So, and that's for everybody, Yanni, okay?
Okay.
All right, so hang in there, Yanni, and we will continue here. Thank you so much for volunteering. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you, sir.
Okay. Bye, Yanni. Hang in there for the questions.
Bye. Goodbye.
All right, everybody. Give Yanni a thumbs up, and I'll take another volunteer. So we have Lola, Sunantha, Harjat, Fwang, Ahmed, Hussein. Firstly, I am looking for members, everybody, and I know Sunantha is a member. So Lola, I'm not sure if you're a member. If you're a member, let me know in the chat, okay? Sometimes I know you're using different names on the website and the chat. So if you have a different name on the website than in the chat, please do let me know, because I can't match you otherwise, okay? So Sunantha, are you ready to do a little bit of reading? Okay. All right. Sunantha says yes.
Hello.
Hi, Sunantha.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Awesome. Okay, Sunantha, are you ready to do a little bit of reading for us?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I'm ready.
And you know what's going on. I'm going to ask you what the paragraph is about after, right?
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Whenever you're ready, go from the top. The other type of supernova.
Okay. The other type of supernova is the type 1A. Type 1A supernova are formed most commonly in binary star systems, where there are 2 stars which rotate around the common point. For supernova types 1A to occur, one of the star types had to be a white dwarf. A white dwarf is a remnant of a low-mass star that has come to the end of its stellar life. Our sun will one day be a white dwarf. Become its lack the mass need to blow up in a supernova type 2 explosion. In the binary system, the white dwarf star gravitationally attract matter from its companion star, with the matter taken from the companion star becoming part of the white dwarf. Eventually, the white dwarf will have added so much mass that it begin to approach the Chandrasekhar limit. Once it's hit this limit, just like in type 2 explosion, the white dwarf can no longer sustain itself, and the core of star collapse. Thus, the star burrows itself up in an even more spectacular event than the type 2 explosion.
What is the paragraph about, Sanantha?
About the it's about explosion is about the effect.
Well, one way to figure it out, Sanantha, is look at the reoccurring word, right? So, and again, usually it's in the topic sentence, right? So the other type of supernova is type 1a. Type 1a supernovae are formed most commonly in binary star systems, right? So just like we were talking about with Masala, if you don't understand it, your next step is to read it again. Now, Sanantha, I can tell you for sure that to get into those higher band scores in the reading, like band 6 or 7, you need to increase your reading fluency a bit. That means that when you get stuck on some words, you need to repeat them twice, nice and loud, so you can read faster and smoother when you see these words. Like taking the word, for example, gravitationally. Can you just repeat after me? Gravitationally.
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 Okay, and that means gravity, so attracting, pulling objects together, right? And then when you repeat those words, then you reread the paragraph again so you can read it smoother. And eventually, you want to get into a situation where you can see what you're reading, visually see what you're reading. Even though this seems like a really complicated topic or paragraph, it shouldn't be too difficult. They do try to explain it quite simply. So basically what this paragraph is telling you is the other type of supernova, type 1a, and the process of how it's formed. Okay, so what is this body paragraph about? This is about type 1a supernova and the process for it. Okay, so how that happens. So this is about, to say it simpler, this is about the process of the type 1a supernova. So just repeat after me, Sanantha. This is about the process for the type 1a supernova.
This is a type 1a process about supernova.
Right?
Process.
Yeah, almost. So what you want to do, Sanantha, is visualize it, right? Basically what it said is there's two types of supernova. In the previous paragraph, which Yanni read, it said that there are some really big stars. And when these big stars consume all the energy, like this, then suddenly when they become really tiny, they explode. Boom. Okay? So they blow up. All right. And you want to kind of see this information visually like this. Now, the second one that you just read, so type 1a supernova, it basically said that here you have two stars. You have one small white dwarf that's really dense, and then you have another star. And this smaller star is actually sucking energy from this other star into it, making it even heavier and bigger. And eventually it becomes so heavy that it reaches that Chandrasekhar limit and boom, it explodes in an even bigger explosion than the type 2. So you should kind of be seeing that information. Okay, so to get into those band 8, band 9 level scores, everybody, you do have to be able to understand new information that you're reading as well in English. Okay. All right. Okay. So Sunantha, good job. Keep reading and make sure to read aloud at least a few times a week. Do you practice loud reading in English? So when you're reading a novel or an IELTS passage, do you read it loudly? So not just quietly, but loudly?
Okay.
Are you doing that now?
I didn't read loudly.
Okay. You have to do that. Okay.
Quiet. Okay.
Yeah. So don't just read silently, but read aloud. So if you're doing 1 hour of reading for your study in a day, make sure that 20 minutes is reading aloud. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, Sunantha, keep up the good studies. Hang in there. We'll get to the questions, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye, Sunantha. All right, everybody, give Sunantha a thumbs up. That was really good. All right, let's take another volunteer. Phuong. You're in here. Yes, you can. All right. Are you ready? Sunantha, or sorry, Phuong. We've had Masala. We've had Yanni, Sunantha. Now it's Phuong's turn. All right, Phuong, here we go. Hello, Phuong. I cannot hear you. I'm not sure if you use a VPN, Phuong, but that could be causing an issue, or if you're using a dynamic or cellular data link to connect, that could be an issue. Okay, so try to use stable internet, Phuong. I cannot hear you. Absolutely nothing. So Phuong, when you're on the website, try it with other students, maybe other members, maybe even with Carolina. Maybe she might be able to help you out. The key is to use a computer if possible, not a cell phone. These kinds of software work better on a PC, and to avoid using like VPN connections or things like that that make it difficult. Okay. All right, Phuong, hang in there. Okay. Who else do we have in here? We have Kennel. Kennel, are you ready? Another one of our members. Nice to see many members volunteering. Okay, Kennel, are you ready to join up and read paragraph D? Oh, it's no problem, Phuong. I'm just sorry that we can't connect because I know we have connected in the past. So check into what might be different or what's going on, okay?
Hello.
Hi, Kennel. How are you?
Hi, sir. I'm good. I'm doing very well. Excellent.
Awesome. Kennel, are you ready to do a bit of reading?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. I've brought up the passage. You should see it in just a moment. So whenever you are ready, go ahead and read paragraph D from type 1A supernova.
Okay. Type 1A supernova are extremely bright. If the sun were to be replaced by the type 1A supernova, it would appear 5 billion times brighter. This brightness is also very consistent from one supernova type 1A to another supernova type 1A. And this consistency has led astronomers to use supernova type 1A as what are called standard candles. A standard candle is used to determine how far away an object is. For example, if we observe a supernova type 1A in the nearby galaxy, we can tell very accurately how far away it is by comparing the apparent brightness of the supernova observed with its absolute brightness. Respectively, if the supernova is very bright, the galaxy is quite close. If the supernova is very dim, the galaxy is very far away.
Okay. Excellent. Really excellent reading. Your reading skills obviously are quite good. You read very fluently. You don't get stuck with words. You have good intonation, good pronunciation of the words. So Kennel, that's great. At your level of reading, Kennel, there's absolutely no reason to be just skim reading. So you should definitely be reading the whole passage and then answering the questions, okay? All right, so question, what is this paragraph about? So what is it about, according to what you read?
It is about how supernova can be used to measure a far distance between galaxies.
Yeah, exactly.
And very accurately.
Yes, exactly. So simply put, it is about, and I usually tell everybody that when you're speaking and when you're writing, when you're giving an answer or a statement, try not to use these question markers like how or why or when. Use those when you're asking a question. In statements, it's important to learn to make it sound like a statement. It is about supernovae being used as an accurate measuring tool for great distances in the universe. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Very nice. So just repeat after me. It's about supernova being used as accurate measuring tools for great distances in the universe.
It is about supernova being used as an accurate measuring tool for great distance in the universe.
Yeah. And you know, even when you have good reading skills and your English is obviously upper intermediate to advanced, your goal should be to make your answers as good as possible. So how can you make it more concise? How can you make it more accurate? You should always be thinking about that. Kennel, that's great. Thank you. Hang in there. We're going to finish the passage here with another student in just a second, and then we'll get to the questions. Sounds good?
Good. Thank you, Adrian.
All right. Thanks for joining, Kennel. Volunteer again, okay?
Yes.
Bye. Okay, that was Kennel. Studying even in a loud place. Okay. Yeah, Yanni, that's correct. You should avoid question markers and statements. When you're answering questions, don't sound like you're asking a question. Sound like you're saying the answer. It's better English, better communication. Okay, so we've got one paragraph left. Let's see if we've got, I don't see any other members. I'm not sure if Lola's a member. I'll ask though, but Lola can finish this up. So Lola, are you ready to read the conclusion? Okay. So if we don't have members volunteering, then we'll take some of our regular viewers. And I know Lola is quite a regular viewer here to help us finish this paragraph. All right, Lola. Hi, Lola. Yes, I can. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How about you?
I'm good. You're a little bit quiet, Lola. Can you speak a bit louder or move a bit closer to the microphone?
Okay. Is it clear?
A little bit better. I think we can all hear you, so it's all good. Okay, Lola, whenever you're ready. So, sorry, before you read, Lola, are you a member or a regular viewer?
No, I'm not the member.
Okay, it's not a problem. I was just curious because sometimes I just don't know if the name's not matching. Okay, Lola, whenever you're ready, go ahead and read this conclusion from Supernovae.
Okay. Supernovae are responsible for every element in the universe that is heavier than iron. Every atom of gold, silver, tin, and lead, as well as 80 other elements in the universe, was born in a supernova. Supernovae are also the origin of the most most newly born stars in the universe. Our sun, for example, was born from a cloud of dust and gas that was left over from a supernova. The Earth likewise was born from a supernova. It is not too imaginative, therefore, to regard the planets animals and humans on this planet as a development of the supernova. Our bodies was once uh, s- scattered scattered in a supernova explosion. Therefore, many scientists believe supernovae are the cripples of existence itself.
Awesome. Okay, Lola, good job. Lola, I can tell that you read a lot quietly or silently, maybe just like Sunantha, but not as much aloud. So this is again a reminder to you and everybody that reading aloud is a very useful and important practice for many reasons. Also for pronunciation, you learn the pronunciation of words. E-readers like Kindle for Amazon or other e-readers or reading on the tablet, you can actually tap on the words and often they will have the Google pronunciation for you as well. This word here, Lola, is pronounced crucibles.
Crucibles.
Crucibles. Yeah, and it's totally fine. And when you're at home, that's when you want to, stop, pronounce it a couple of times, write down the definition, and then you learn it. It's a good word to know, crucibles. Okay, crucibles means like the fundamental origin of that. Okay, the creator. Okay, the crucible. Okay, so what is this paragraph about, Lola?
It's about of supernovas elements that have in supernova, and I think so.
Simple. Let's make it simple. So in this paragraph, you read that supernova create a lot of the elements like gold, lead, tin, creates the sun, creates the stars, maybe created the earth.
Powers and elements.
Yeah, it creates the heavier elements, exactly. Maybe humans originate from the dust of supernovae. So in a simple sentence, Lola, what is this paragraph about?
It's about supernovas combinations, elements, supernova elements, I guess.
I would say, if you ask me, say, Adrian, what is this conclusion about?
Okay, what is this conclusion about?
You can use my name. Say, Adrian, what is this conclusion about?
Adrian, what is this conclusion about?
Lola, I think this conclusion is telling us that supernovae are responsible for creating much of the universe, including humans, elements, and stars. Okay?
Oh.
All right. So supernovae are responsible for creating the universe around us, including the Earth, humans, and heavy elements.
Yes.
Okay?
Thanks to
So repeat that after me. And by the way, everybody, when I'm saying this, I'm not just saying it to Lola, but I'm saying this to everybody. It was the same when I was speaking with Sunantha or Yanni. So here we go. Lola, repeat this after me. Supernovae are responsible for creating the universe around us, including the Earth, humans, and heavy elements.
Okay, supernovae are responsible for creating the universe around us, including the Earth and heavy elements, humans.
Humans. Okay.
Sorry for my spelling.
No, it's okay. So the idea when you're doing reading at home, and again, this is for everybody. So the idea when you're doing reading at home, if you want to really, do well on the IELTS reading section, especially in the academic version, it's very important that you go through a reading passage carefully and focus on identifying what each paragraph is about so that you have clarity. I think what happens, Lola, to a lot of IELTS learners is they try to read a ton of different passages before their exam. So they try to read like 50 different IELTS reading passages before the exam, and then they think that will help them to get a high band score. But IELTS will always surprise you with a new topic. So even if you read 30 or 40 different reading passages, you will probably see new information on the exam. So instead of trying to read a lot of different IELTS reading passages, it's better to focus on fewer or less, but really train yourself to understand what you're reading. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the trick. That's the much better strategy or learning approach for getting those high band scores, okay? All right. Lola, don't go anywhere yet. I've got a little bit more for you here. Okay? So, yeah, and Carolina there in the chat said so true, right? So it's not about trying to read 50 reading passages, but it's about understanding the ones that you do read. Okay, here, just read this question for me. Which paragraph?
Which paragraph contains the following information? Write the correct letter A to E in boxes 2732 on your answer sheet. Not given. NB. What's NB?
NB means note by the way.
Not by the way. You may use any letters more than once.
Okay. All right. So, read number 27 for me.
27, mass energy conversion.
Okay. Have you been here the whole class, Lola?
I'm not sure. Not. I just been here for 50 minutes.
Okay. All right. Well, let's help Lola. Anybody know where that one comes from? Do you have an idea of where that comes from, Lola?
I think it's paragraph B.
Very good. Why?
Because paragraph B says about more energy and masses.
Yeah. So remember, paragraph B talks about the process for type 2 supernova, and that was, I believe, Yanni was the one who read paragraph B, and it was about type 2 supernova, and it was talking about that process of changing hydrogen into helium, helium into carbon, carbon into something else. So it was converting energy, right? Mass energy conversion. So changing energy. Yeah, so that was very smart of you. Yeah, absolutely. It was B. Good for you. So when you understand what each paragraph is about, you don't have to search for all the answers. And one of the most important points for doing well in the IELTS, especially in the reading section, is you shouldn't be searching for every answer. Okay, so here it was B. Okay, Lola, thank you so much for reading the conclusion and for giving a correct answer to the first question. That was great. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, hang in there for the other questions, Lola. We'll talk again soon, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye. All right, that was Yanni says I read that in the chat. Yanni says that's the process of the type 2, okay? And notice that you can't skim read. So paragraph B doesn't actually say mass energy conversion. If you're searching for mass energy conversion, you won't really find it. You have to understand all of paragraph B to understand that that's what it's discussing, right? Okay. Thanks for all the thumbs up, everybody, for Lola. That's fantastic. Good support. Okay, let's take another volunteer for helping us out with some of the other questions. We have Aisha Gull volunteering. I don't see other volunteers of our members yet, so we'll give Aisha a chance. I think she's been with us for a bit, so should be able to help us out. Are you ready, Aisha, for helping us with some of these questions? Hopefully you've seen most of the class and read most of the passage so that you can help with these. If you're there, I'll guide you. Even if you missed a little bit, don't worry about it. I will also guide you for the answers. So if you're there, let me know. Okay, here we go.
Hello.
Hi, Aisha. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How about you?
I am also doing fantastic. All right, Aisha, are you ready to help us out with some questions and answers?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sounds great. So you should see the text coming up in just a second there on your screen. When you're ready, read number 28 for me, please.
Okay. The requirements for A-type 1A supernova.
All right. I'm not sure how long you've been in the class, but this one we should definitely be able to answer without searching. So which paragraph is this coming from?
Well, I guess it is from paragraph B, maybe.
Okay, the introduction was about the importance of supernova, measuring for measurements and elements, and it was the introduction, right? Paragraph B
Okay.
was about type 2 supernova, right? It's about the single star. So here's a really important point, everybody. You should keep in mind when you read this passage that for type 2 is one star dying, and type 1A is 2 stars dying, 2 companion stars dying, right? So first it talked about the type 2. That was paragraph B. So then which one do you think was type 1A?
Then obviously paragraph C.
Yeah, exactly, right? So first type 2, then type 1A. Makes sense that that would come right after they talk about type 2. So so there's logic, and I'm happy you said obviously. I really like how you just said that, Aisha. Like you said, well, obviously it's C then, right? Because logically the author would say, okay, here's the introduction, here's type 2, and then here's type 1A. So yes, so C it is, and C is the correct answer. Okay, now ideally in the real IELTS, you're not searching for these first couple of answers. Okay, number 29, read that one for me, please.
Okay. Supernova as intergalactic measuring sticks.
Which one is that?
So actually I joined a bit late, so I cannot guess.
This one, Aisha, came late. So this one you might have heard if you came late. Okay, no problem. Logic, right? Where would you put this? So you're the author. You introduced supernovae, why they're important. You talked about the first one, type 2. Then you talked about the second one, type 1A. What do you think? Where would you talk about the using it as a measuring stick?
I guess it was in paragraph D, because when I joined, I heard someone speaking who was talking about actually this point.
Yeah, exactly. We had, I think, only one male reader. It was Kennel.
Yes.
I think it was Kennel that was reading that. And Kennel in the chat says it's D. So Kennel agrees with you, which is good. And if you're not sure, you can quickly check, right? So here's paragraph D. And then you go, okay, type 1A supernovae are extremely bright. Very consistent. This is used, type 1A is what I'll call standard candles. Standard candle is used to determine how far an object is. Okay, so this is where you do a little bit of skim reading, and as soon as you skim read that it's determined how far an object is, you know it's correct. So you go, okay, that's D. Yep, got it. It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay, number 30. Can you read that for me?
Heavy elements come from supernova.
Okay. Which one is that from?
D, maybe?
Let's see. Do we have heavy elements in D? That was the one that we just said was for measuring, right? And I didn't really see the word elements or heavy elements coming up in this, right? So probably not. So then where would it come from logically, potentially, if it's not in that, if it's not in D?
Then it would come in paragraph E.
Yeah.
because
Let's check.
in paragraph E we talked about some elements.
Which ones?
Um, Gold, silver, lead.
The metals, right? So the heavier metal
Yes.
elements. Absolutely. And there it is. It says supernovae are responsible for every element in the universe that is heavier than iron, every atom of gold, silver, tin, and lead. So, yeah, so E, right? We're kind of moving along logically in the answers. And, sometimes I think IELTS candidates, when they get this kind of topic, like supernova, like, I don't do space, I don't know anything about space, they freak out. You can't do that. So IELTS, especially the academic IELTS, will introduce topics in both the listening and the reading that are new for most people. So it's not just you. It's not like other people are. It's not like the guy or the girl that's sitting next to you in the IELTS exam is an astronomer and they're like, oh, I know about supernovae. This is my topic. No, it's new for most people, right? And IELTS will, especially in the academic, but even in the general, will introduce new topics because they want to see how good is your English. Do you have enough English to understand new information in English? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now, you don't have to panic when you see new information. You can't be like, oh my goodness, this is new information. This is crazy. Even in my language, I don't know this. I can't do this. So you can't have that feeling. You should just say, okay, it's not rocket science, although it is space. It's not rocket science. I should be able to understand this if I use some logic, right? So here the author is introducing supernova, talking about two types, one type, then the other type. Then it's telling me why they're important because they're used to measure, they're used for elements, and then the conclusion, right? So keep calm, keep logical, okay? All right. The next one here, number 31. Go ahead and read that one for me.
The fuel used for stars.
Okay. Logically, you're the author. Where would you put that? Where in this essay, in this passage, where would you talk about the fuel that's used for stars?
In paragraph E, because in that paragraph we talked about how stars are born from different gases.
Okay. Let's take a second and think about it, okay? So, fuel used for stars. Is that an important fact for this topic for our readers? So, what is the star using to burn to be a star? Is that an important point, do you think, to understand?
That is for sure, because
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So, as the author, do you want your reader to understand this point early in the information in your writing or at the very end of your writing?
as an author,
Yeah, as the author. So if you become the author, do you want your reader to understand this point, this fact, the fuel that's used for stars? Do you want your reader to understand this at an early point in the information or at a later point in the information?
as an author, I believe I would definitely introduce about the main thing first, and then I would like them to know how that main particle or element is used for as a fuel of stars.
Right, exactly. So you want your reader to understand this early in the game because then it will make a lot more sense. So you wouldn't put it in paragraph E. You wouldn't wait until the conclusion to say, oh, and by the way, the fuel used is hydrogen. It's like, oh, now you tell me, right? So you'd put it in early. You'd be like, okay, stars burn hydrogen, and then once they finish burning hydrogen, they start to burn other elements and they explode. So now let's think about this again with a little bit better logic. So where would I put this information then? Or where do you think we'll find this? What paragraph?
The conclusive paragraph.
No, in the beginning somewhere, right? So we just said, as the author, we would want our reader to know this early. So we would either put it in paragraph A or at least in paragraph B, right? So here,
Mhm.
if I'm reading, I would go, okay, this should be somewhere in the beginning. So do I see the word fuel anywhere or something that tells me it's fuel? I don't. So I go a little bit more and I
Mhm.
start to skim read paragraph B. And then I go, okay, there's a number of differences. The main difference is the process. Okay. And then read from here. So read from a star begins to die.
Where is it? Okay. Okay. A star begins to die when it runs out of fuel. Fuel for stars is the element hydrogen for
Okay.
their
It's
entire
just, yeah,
lives.
yeah, and we can stop there.
Yes.
So obviously it's paragraph B, right? We can see the
Okay.
word come up and then it tells us what it is. It says fuel for stars is the element hydrogen. So we know now for sure that it's B. And, some students might say, okay, I'm just going to skim read for the word fuel, right? Like some candidates will go, okay,
Hmm.
I'll just skim read for fuel. That might not work in some situations, though, because they might not use the word fuel. They might paraphrase it with another word, like the element used to provide energy instead of saying fuel. So it's still very important to know where you should be looking. Okay, so when you're looking at the information in the questions, be critical. And I'm not just telling you this, I'm telling, of course, all the people who are watching this right now, that you have to think, okay, if I'm the author, where would I put this information? Where should it go in this passage? And then you have a much better idea of where you need to look to skim read. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, because if you think it's in the conclusion and you start with the conclusion, you're going to be really lost and you're going to take a lot of time before you get back to paragraph B to realize that that's where it's happening. Do you see what I mean? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. 32. Last one here. Go for it.
Supernova are the progenitors of much of existence.
Okay. Where's that information? What do you think?
That is obviously the conclusive paragraph because in that we talked about how supernova is responsible for much of the creation in the entire universe.
Yeah. And it's just it's paraphrased. Absolutely.
Yes.
So E. It's concluding. It's like I've given you all this information, all the science about supernova. Why did I give you? It's the take-home message, okay? The conclusion contains what's called the take-home message. A good essay will always have a take-home message. And here it includes this take-home message. It's like I gave you all of the science. I'm the author. I gave you all of the science for supernovae. Why did I give you all of this science? Because supernovae create existence of the universe, right? So it's the conclusion. Okay, thank you so much for volunteering, Aisha. That was super helpful. I hope you learned a little bit there. Keep studying hard, okay?
For sure, sir. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to join.
You're most welcome, Aisha. Thank you for helping us out. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I hope you watch the next class as well, the listening class, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Bye for now, Aisha.
Bye.
All right. That was Aisha helping us to, learn a lot of those steps and strategies that are important for getting a good mark on the reading. Okay, students, instead of rushing through these last few questions, members, use the information, use the logic, use the points of this lesson, like understanding what each paragraph is about, to answer these short questions. So fill in these blanks. I think they're fairly simple. You'll get the hang of it. And then also these multiple choice questions. So the video is saved. You will be able to see it. You will be able to see these questions near the end of today's lesson. And then once you have the answers, you can send me your answers by email and I will send you back the answer key. So I will let you know if you got them correct or not. Okay. The email where you can send your answers is adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. Okay. So send me your answers for the short answer questions or the fill in the blanks and the multiple choice questions there. Members, especially those who were reading today, thank you so much. Carolina, thank you for moderating. Hang in there, students. In half an hour and 30 minutes, we're doing listening section part 3 and 4. It's the listening exam that we started last week. This is going to be not just for members, but all of our subscribers to join the chat. So make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the notification button so you get notifications. And again, everybody, remember to go to our website, aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. I am Adrian, and I'm signing out from Victoria for now, but I'll be back in half an hour with more IELTS focusing on the listening section. Bye, everyone, and see you soon.